What a year it was in 2016 for our Western Bulldogs. We defied the odds to claim our first premiership since 1954. It was truly a remarkable year.
Tippett gives it to McRae in space. He drives it back towards the 50. Pickett from behind! Pickett from behind! What a mark!
Wonder if he can come back with Gray. Stringer! Oh yes, he's done it! The package! Might deliver a cup!
In from Franklin, knocked away by Morris. Naismith sold a teammate into trouble. Quick thinking by Kennedy. And Franklin was run down. Tom Boyd's got it. Tom Boyd goes long. How will it bounce? The stadium holds its breath. It's a goal! And the western suburbs erupt.
Stringer did well. Dalhouse to Daniel to Stringer, having an impact at last. That big goal in the last quarter. Good kick. Gives Pickett a chance. It's over. It's all over. The drought. The damn wall is busted.
He misses, but they don't miss out. Their day, their year, their joy.
A new year is now upon us, 2017. A chance to go back to back. It's also a chance for our women to shine in the newly created AFL Women's Competition. And I have it all covered right here on a new season of After the Dogs Roar. Let's get it started.
Sons of the West, red, white and blue. We come out snarling, Bulldogs through and through. Bulldogs fight and Bulldogs roar. We give our very best. 'Cause you can't beat the boys of the Bulldog breed. We're the team of the mighty West. 'Cause you can't beat the boys of the Bulldog breed. The team of the mighty
Hello Dogs fans, welcome to a brand new season of After the Dogs Roar. Of course, it's the show dedicated to our beautiful club, the Western Bulldogs. Of course, this show in association with the Western Bulldogs Forum on Facebook. I had an absolute blast presenting this show last year in its first season. Of course, last season was an absolute cracker. Of course, we had our two sides, our AFL side and VFL side, both claimed trophies. Of course, our senior side claimed their first premiership since 1954. Our women's side also claimed a trophy. It was a remarkable year last year. It was one that you just cannot forget. It was one to remember. And so, yeah, I'm very excited to be back presenting this show again in 2017. And, well, for the first couple of episodes, our focus is going to be purely on the women's competition. That is why this show is getting underway a bit earlier than normal. So our focus in the next few episodes will be on the women's competition as we get close to our men's side starting their back-to-back campaign where they start in the pre-season competition. Okay, so let's have a look now at the episode 1 agenda. We're going to be starting the show with a look at the 2017 women's squad. I'm going to go through the squad, show you all the faces, all the big names. Looking forward to doing just that. We're then going to preview the first game, which will happen on Saturday night against Fremantle. That is the first of the AFL women's competition games for our Western Bulldogs club. And then we're going to end the show with a fan favourite segment. It is the 5 fan questions. Looking forward to getting into that segment. I've got 5 really good questions to do with our club. So looking forward to answering them. So let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into the show. We start with having a look at the 2017 women's squad. So our women's side for the new AFL women's competition is made up of 24 players, a couple of marquee players, and then the rest being chosen through the AFL Women's Draft, which was held last year. So it looks like a really good squad. Of course, we're not really sure what to expect at this point in time because it is the first year of the new competition. But let's go through and have a look at the side. We start with the first player on the list, and that is Asta O'Connor. Was picked in round 2 at pick 12 of the draft. And is actually a defender / ruck. We then have Bailey Hunt on the list, a key defender recruited from Melbourne University, picked in round 8 at pick 60 of the draft. Brookie Lachlan, picked in round 7, pick 53 at the draft. It was also recruited from the Melbourne University. Courtney Clarkson is another one on the list there, is a key forward who should probably do good things for our club in the 2017 season. We then have Elise Gamble, a ruck, actually recruited from the Burnie Dockers right here in Tasmania, which is where I live. In fact, that's northwest of where I live. So great to see a Tasmanian in the Western Bulldogs women's side. We then have Ellie Blackburn, a marquee player selection. Recruited from the Melbourne University, is a real rising star of the game, so look out for her in 2017. Emma Kearney, well, she's played some cricket for the Melbourne Stars in the WBBL, so she knows what it's like to play at a professional level. She's an inside midfielder, and looking forward to seeing how she goes in 2017. A priority selection she was. We have Hannah Scott picked in round 3 of the draft at pick 21, an inside midfielder at 170 centimetres, recruited from the Eastern Devils. Hayley Whites, recruited from Cranbourne, is a defender, 166 centimetres, picked round 6, pick 44 at the draft. Jamie Lambert is also on the list, another inside midfielder, picked in the first round of the draft at pick 5. So she went pretty early in that draft. She will be a real key player for our club this year. We have Jess Gardner, picked from the St Kilda Sharks, I should say recruited from, and was drafted round 17 in the draft. Lauren Spark, the other one on the list, key defender, 182 centimetres, which is pretty tall, and was picked pretty late in the draft. Kate Tandle, picked round 15 at pick 117 of the draft. Katie Brennan is the other marquee player. She's one of my favourites. In fact, she's the favourite for me. She is a fantastic footballer. She is very athletic, very, very good on the field with her skills. She was quite good in the game, in the All-Stars game at Whitten Oval last year, that during the bye weekend, I should say. She was very, very good. Of course, recruited from the Falcons. You then have Kimberly Ebb, an outside midfielder, also a running defender as well. You then have Kirsten McLeod, Kirsty Lamb, Laura Bailey, Lauren Moorcroft, Libby Birch, Lisa Williams, Nicole Callahan. We then have Robbie Timmons, and then rounding out the list, we then have Tieta Ertson. So that is the squad, the women's squad for 2017 for our Western Bulldogs. Okay, time now to get into the first game for our AFL women's side in the newly formed AFL women's competition. It is against Fremantle from Western Australia, and it is at our beautiful home ground of Whitten Oval, Victoria University Whitten Oval, I should say. It's on Saturday the 4th of February. Saturday night game at 7:35 p.m. You can see all the action live on free-to-air. Yes, free-to-air through the powers of 7, and you can also see it on Fox Footy as well. So no reason not to watch it. If you're not there at the game, you can just flick on the TV, whether it's free-to-air or paid TV, and watch the game. That's the beautiful thing about this new competition, is that every game is live on either Fox Footy or 7. It is absolutely remarkable, and it's exactly what this new competition needs. I'm looking forward just to seeing the first game. That's what I'm looking forward to. I don't really have any expectations. It would be great to win, but I'm just looking forward to seeing how it is. I'm looking forward that it's at Whitten Oval. It's going to be a beautiful spectacle there. I hope the crowd gets along. Of course, I won't be there because I don't live in Melbourne, but I will be watching on TV, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. Of course, I'm looking forward to seeing the likes of Katie Brennan, Ellie Blackburn. Of course, they're the two favourites, of course, the marquee players. Also looking forward to seeing some other gems as well. So a really good game. I'm hoping the Western Bulldogs win, of course. It's going to be great to see our women's side in action, and I definitely encourage every one of you to get around our women's side just like you do or get around the men's. So there you have it. That is our first game, Saturday night, 4th of February, 7:35 p.m. at Whitten Oval. Do not miss it. It is going to be a cracker. Okay, time now to get into the fan favourite segment. That's what it was last year, and it's back again this year. It's back in the very first episode, and that is the 5 fan questions. If you don't know how this works, basically what I do is I post a post to the Western Bulldogs forum. If you're not a member, then go join. Basically, I post a post saying ask questions. People ask questions. I pick the best 5 of those questions and answer them on this very show. So let's get straight into it. I start with Red WB, who was a great supporter of this show last year. It's a real thrill to have the support of Red WB again in 2017. He asks, what are you most looking forward to during the pre-season, Mr. Bevis? Well, the main thing I'm looking forward to in the pre-season is the women's competition. I think it's a great thrill to have a national women's AFL competition here, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the Western Bulldogs go in that competition. If you want another thing I'm kind of looking forward to in the pre-season, I'm actually looking forward to seeing Travis Cloke in the pre-season comp, which of course kicks off with our first game against Melbourne, I believe, at Whitten Oval. That's in a couple of weeks' time. Of course, I will be having a look at that game on this show, but I'm looking forward to seeing how Travis Cloke goes in the competition, because to me, I'm not really sure where he fits in at the moment. We've got Cramery, we've got Boyd, we've got some other forwards. Redpath, of course, is injured at the moment, but he'll come back and play a big part. We've got some other great forwards as well. I'm not really sure where he slots in at the moment, so it's going to be interesting to see where they play him and how he actually goes in that pre-season comp, and it's going to be interesting to see what actually occurs from that pre-season comp in terms of where he actually plays during the season and how often he actually plays. So that's what I'm looking forward to as well, is Travis Cloke. The main thing that I'm looking forward to during the pre-season is the women's, but Travis Cloke, looking forward to seeing how he goes for our Western Bulldogs club. Of course, he probably had not the best year with Collingwood last year, but we know he can mark the ball. Of course, we know his kicking is probably something that needs improving, but it's going to be interesting to see where he actually plays during the year. So that's what I'm looking forward to during the pre-season, the women's and Travis Cloke. Matt Button asks, what are your expectations for the 3 teams this year, women's, VFL and AFL? Well, I'll start with the women's because, of course, that is what this episode, or this first episode, is purely about, is the women's. Look, I don't really have a expectation for our women's. You know, I actually believe that we are a step above all the other clubs, with Melbourne being the exclusion of that. I think the Western Bulldogs are a step above all the other clubs in terms of women's football. We've been playing it, for more than what the other clubs have been playing it, so I think we are the leaders in that, but I don't really have an expectation. I'd love top 4 for this club. It'd be fantastic. Of course, the top 2 go straight through to the grand final, so if you make the top 4, you're not actually guaranteed the grand final spot. So, but I think I don't really have a real expectation for the women's because of its first year and so forth, but if you really want an expectation, I think top 4 would be acceptable. The VFL, I'd expect them to be up in the top 4. Premiers last season, you know, you'd have to think that top 4 is the only acceptable thing for our VFL side. Top 8 probably is as well, but I'd love top 4. And in terms of our AFL side, well, last year was a fantastic year, wasn't it? We conquered the biggest thing in the competition, and that is that AFL Premiership Cup. This year I'd probably expect us to go higher up on the ladder, so I'd love to see us up in the top 4. Of course, 7th last season. It didn't matter in the end because we got through the 4 weeks of finals and got through to that last day and won the cup, but I'd love to see us in that top 4, and maybe even that top 2 would be fantastic as well. Finals is definitely the expectation for the AFL side this year, no question about that. So, and with the recruits as well, I'd expect us to be in the finals again and in top 4 positions. So that is my expectations for the 3 teams in 2017. Paul Coles asks, will Stringer play a more midfield role in 2017? I put a lot of thought into this, and I kind of said No, I think he's kind of suited to the forward line, but then after, kind of thinking of Crammery and Cloak and Boyd and all those players who are going to be in our forward line are going to give us a lot of forward options in 2017, I think maybe Beveridge has a bit of a trick up his sleeve and may put Stringer in the midfield more this season. It would be interesting to see. He does go pretty well in the midfield, and maybe he can make a bigger name for himself. He's already a big name, but maybe he can make a bigger name for himself in 2017 if he plays more in that midfield. So that could be a possibility. I actually wouldn't be surprised if I see that happen. I reckon he could play a more prominent role in the midfield this season in terms of being more in the midfield and less in the forward line. But I'd love to see him in the forward line as well, because he also plays some very good football in that forward line as well. So I think he will play a more midfield role in 2017. Jenny asks, will our captain Bob come back as fit as he was before he injured his knee? This is a tough one, this one, because normally when players have an injury, they don't, especially at his age and the age that he's at, they don't actually come back and be as good as what they used to be. But he's had this before, hasn't he? He's been injured before and he's come back and he's been a real great player. I think he'll be he'll play a really good influence at our club in 2017, coming back from the injury. And I hope he is fit as he was before, but it's not always the possibility. But he's been training a fair bit. He's been into pre-season for a while now, so that could be a possibility that he will be as fit as he was. But we've got to take his age into account. We've got to take into account that he's probably going to be retiring in the not too near distant future. But I reckon he'll be fit. Not too sure if he'll be fit as he was before he injured the knee. And then finally we have a question from Maddie Lyons, who I'd like to say a big thank you to. Of course, invited me on to be an admin of the Western Bulldogs forum in 2017. Really excited about that, which means I can create some more content for the forum this year and basically show even more passion for the Western Bulldogs in 2017, a club that I have loved right from the beginning of my life. But he asks, who is impressing most on the track during the off-season? This is a tough question for me because I live in Tasmania, don't live in Melbourne, so I don't get to see the training sessions. I don't get to go to the training sessions every week. I would if I lived in Melbourne, no question about that. So I can only gather on what I've been hearing, and from what I've been hearing that Stuart Crammery has been having a really good training or pre-season, I should say. He's been training for a while now, ever since he got that suspension. He trained all last year. That will be good for him. And so I'd expect him to be really fit and raring to go. And I reckon he'll slot into the side and play a real prominent role. And so yeah, he's been impressive. From what I've been hearing, I think Stuart Crammery's been the most impressive. That's without attending the training sessions. I've been hearing Matty Suckling's been really going well. Bob Murphy, of course, is on track to return from that injured knee. There's been a few other players floating around, but I think Stuart Crammery, from what I've been hearing, he's been having a really good pre-season as he prepares to come back in for his first season since 2015. So Stuart Crammery for me, but like I said, tough question because I don't actually get to attend the training sessions. And that is it for the first episode of After the Dogs Roar for 2017. I do hope you enjoyed the opening episode, and if you did, don't forget to like, comment and share this video, subscribe, and also join the Western Bulldogs forum on Facebook if you haven't already. There's lots of talk going in that group about our beautiful Western Bulldogs club, so join in the conversation there. And it's also a way to get involved with this show as well. Of course, the 5 fan questions, etc. Now, the next episode of After the Dogs Roar is next Tuesday, the 7th of February. I'll be reviewing our opening women's game against Fremantle, of course, diving into our round 2 game as well. And then in the 3rd episode, our men will be back in action and the pre-season competition will be well underway. So the footy season is back. After the Dogs Roar is back, I'll be doing this show every week right up until our last game. I'm looking forward to the year. Bye for now.